Have you been struggling with this extreme sense of self-doubt that makes you question your thoughts and feelings even after leaving the narcissist? Have you been overly apologetic? Have you been facing difficulties in differentiating real from unreal? Have you been overly concerned about doing the right thing because you're afraid of messing it up? You're afraid of messing it up by saying or doing the wrong thing. Do you feel like you're crazy? You do not know who you are. You do not know what's going on. Do you feel like you have been convinced that there is something deeply wrong with you? If your answer to any of these questions is a yes, this episode is for you. Hi, I am Danish, a narcissistic abuse recovery professional. Today in this episode, we're going to learn how a narcissist plants this seed of doubt in your head and convinces you you are crazy. We are going to also learn how your own inner critic from your childhood trauma becomes 10, I would say 100 times worse, and how you start struggling with functioning in the social situations. If that has been your experience and this is what you're struggling with, drop your struggles in the comments below. Let me know what it is that you're struggling with the most when it comes to this aspect of recovery from narcissistic abuse trauma. Your answers can help other survivors feel validated and connected because you're not alone. There are so many people going through the same thing in different ways. Also, make sure to subscribe and press the bell icon to stay updated with everything latest that I post over here. Now let's get started with the understanding of why. Why is it difficult for you to trust your voice? Why is it difficult for you to believe that you are doing the right thing? Why are you overly concerned about hurting other people or saying something wrong that would trigger them and they would start treating you the way the narcissist did? Why do you think there is something deeply wrong with you? The one-word answer to all of this is gaslighting. You were heavily gaslit by the narcissist. The narcissist didn't only put this thought in your head that there is something wrong with you. Like it wasn't a suggestion that was made. Quite the opposite. You were thoroughly convinced that you are a crazy, a lunatic, a stupid, and an idiot person who doesn't know how to function. They convinced you that everything that you do and say is wrong and you are a broken person. They uprooted your capability to trust yourself. That is the major betrayal wound. They destroyed your capacity to believe your own thoughts and words that come out of your mouth. You started filtering everything that your mind produced. Feelings, thoughts, words, sensations, because everything felt wrong. I hope I can describe the intensity of this trauma because it just is like your own thoughts, your own feelings, your body feels alien to you. It feels something dirty. There is so much shame in being the way you are. You just want to get rid of yourself, but you don't understand why that is the case. Where does it come from? When in reality, it is the narcissist who convinced you that there is something deeply wrong in being the way you are. You might wonder, why did they do so? Why does a narcissist does that? A narcissist does that because it serves them. Think about this. If they were to force things on you and you were to see through things very clearly, things that they do, things that they see, they wouldn't be capable of abusing you to a great extent. They wouldn't be able to take advantage of you fully. So they use this other indirect approach, the most destructive approach, to convince you that there is something wrong with you, to convince you that every issue in the relationship, every issue in the situation is your fault. You are responsible for creating it. And by doing that, you do not question them. You never question them. Because every time something bad happens, it just needs them to say a word, one blame shifting incident, and everything is now circling in your head. Everything is spiraling. You are blaming yourself. You are putting yourself down. This inner critic is just killing you for making that mistake. Why did you have to say that? Why didn't you keep your mouth shut? Why did you talk to him or her that way? It's your fault. See, you are anxious and your anxiety is making him or her uncomfortable. You should have tried to be calm. Why are you so sensitive? So these thoughts kill us. It's like we are getting battered and tortured all the time by our own voice, which basically was planted in us by the narcissist. The point that I'm trying to make here is that this sense of craziness, the sense that I have lost it, the sense that I do not know how to function, how to be, doesn't come from you originally, doesn't come from who you are, doesn't come from what you are as a person. It comes from who the narcissist actually is and how they feel about themselves. This is a projection that you have internalized, and you have made their trauma your trauma. And you didn't do that consciously. It was made to happen through the gaslighting techniques, through the manipulation and everything they said and did. I also mentioned in the beginning that your inner critic, if you already have one, gets 100 times worse. Why wouldn't it get worse? Because you are already thinking that there is something wrong with you. Your narcissistic parent planted that voice in you. Your narcissistic parent primed you to take responsibility for things that are not yours to take responsibility for. So if it was, let's say, 10 on the scale of 0 to 100, then with the narcissist, when the re-traumatization happens, the re-wounding happens, the inflammation occurs in your body, the inflammation occurs in your brain, and this critical voice becomes 100 times worse, because now this is a proof of what your parents always said. You are crazy, there is something wrong with you, why are you so sensitive, you are high maintenance, why are you so needy, why are you so clingy, why are you always making matters bigger than what they actually are? If you got those messages from your primary caretakers, and if they are being reinforced by the narcissist now, you're convinced that there is something deeply wrong with you. The most unfortunate thing about surviving the crazy making of a narcissist is that it gets worse before it gets better after leaving the narcissist. You may think that it is worse in the narcissistic relationship, but once you leave, it gets better. Unfortunately not. That is not the case. When you leave the narcissist, everything feels shattered. You are afraid of communicating with people. You're afraid of connecting. You're afraid of opening up because you think whatever you will say will sound crazy. You will sound crazy. People will think, what's wrong with you? What the hell happened to you? It doesn't make any sense. Nobody will believe you. And unfortunately, a lot of that happens as well. But you become so afraid in your own experience. You become afraid of your own self, of your own mind, of your own voice. Why? Because the narcissist convinced you that there is something wrong in you with the voice, with your brain, with your feelings. They are not the right ones that you should feel. Your voice is not what it actually should be. It should be what the narcissist thought it should be because it served them. That's why they wanted to change it. So after leaving the situation, when you step into a social circle, let's say a social situation, you take a break and then you try to reconnect with your friends, or you try to make new friends. This is where the devastating impact shows itself. This is where it gets really painful. You say something that sounds similar to what you said to the narcissist, and the narcissist punished you, abused you for saying it. Here, when you say it, knowing that there's nothing wrong with saying what you said. It could be just simply pointing out that the food isn't as tasty as it used to be at this place that you used to eat at before. So if you had done this thing with the narcissist, they would have erased you, because they would have somehow personalized it and made it about themselves. But when you say the same thing to your friend, instead of being present and knowing that, no, this is a friend, this is a different person, you would naturally be prepared for the same attack that you experienced with the narcissist. You will feel anxious, you will start apologizing for saying the wrong thing. You might also have a big panic attack, and those around you may not understand what happened. And then they might reassure you that it wasn't a big deal, it just was a form of feedback. There's nothing wrong about what you said. Just be at ease. But to you, it would be a big thing. Your thoughts will then start spiraling, and you may think, well, maybe I am the crazy one. See, I said that. What was the need to say it? Why didn't I shut up? That is how this narcissistic crazy making stays with you, and it stays in your head. It stays to torture you. It stays there to tell you how wrong and crazy you are. Now, you need to understand that you are not crazy. You were made to think you're crazy. Slowly, gradually, they convinced you that you cannot trust your voice. You cannot trust your intuition. They disconnected your thoughts from your emotions. They logically convinced you through their predatory cognitive capabilities that your emotions are not trustworthy, which is why your thoughts are all messed up. Your perceptions are all messed up. You need to bring the balance back by connecting your thoughts with your emotions. Don't just rely on what you think. Notice what you feel. Because I'm sure there is that voice in you that always knew the truth. There is that fire in you that needs to be reignited. There is something in you that needs to be rekindled and brought back to life. Because once it comes back to life, you will stop doubting yourself. And you need to ask yourself this question whenever you start doubting your thoughts, your feelings. Is this person trustworthy enough for me to take their feedback about myself so seriously? Are they perfect? Are they themselves perfect? How delusional were they in their thinking? How hypocritical were they? What foundation do they have? Did they know themselves fully to know me? Or were they completely disconnected from who they are? How could a person who is so rigid in their thinking, who is so sensitive and unhinged, say something about me? And how could that feedback be true when they have zero insight into who they are themselves and what they are doing? You have to ask these questions objectively and look at the situation to get rid of this self-doubt. That was it for today's episode. I hope you found it insightful. If you did, let me know in the comments, drop a like, and share this episode with others. I'll talk with you in the next one. Until then, let the healing begin.